I need to be learning new things, and impact or sustainability or whatever you want to label it is so broad. Like you can go into human rights, you can work for nonprofits, you can work in the business. Like there are so many different ways you can flex. And it's been the most gratifying parts of my career is having the ability to wear a lot of these hats. Yes, it means you're chronically under-resourced and all that kind of stuff, but passion is something that is like very powerful when it comes to wanting to solve problems.
Hey there, and welcome to Impact After Hours, where changemakers sign off from work and log into life. I'm Camila Rente, CEO and co-founder of Human Group Media and your host. Today, I'm excited to find out what Lindsay Dahl, author, activist, and chief impact officer at Ritual, is really like off-duty. These days, we're used to seeing labels like BPA-free or 100% natural ingredients on our products. But not too long ago, that kind of information was hidden from us. That is, until people like Lindsay Dahl came in and changed the game. As a lobbyist, she helped pass over 30 public health laws that banned toxic ingredients in consumer products and provided more transparency. She now leads all things strategy, sustainability, advocacy, and more at Ritual, a personal health brand that is building the future of daily essentials. She's also written a book called Cleaning House: The Fight to Rid Our Homes of Toxic Chemicals, which was released on August 5th. Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Small World Lindsay, one of the shows we produce at Human Group Media called Source of Good is hosted by an old friend of yours, Rachel Lincoln Sarnoff. First off, how do you two know each other?
We know each other actually when I was working in Washington, D.C. On a federal campaign to overhaul our federal laws on toxic chemicals. I was intentionally doing grassroots organizing of the early, what was called mom blogger community, and specifically eco and environmentally focused mom bloggers. And Rachel was one of the kind of prominent people in that space. And so I reached out to her, and she was part of a group of maybe 25 different bloggers at the time that I was working with to help kind of amplify and bring more awareness to the issue of toxic chemicals to baby products.
So you go, you both are in the space, and I know that you recently connected. You had an Instagram Live that I also enjoyed, but now you're on a different kind of journey, which is you're an author, and I know you're pretty busy, like with your work at Ritual and your many responsibilities. Why write a book?
I wrote a book for a few reasons. The first is that writing is a hobby of mine. It's a creative outlet. So it is something that I like to do. It brings me a lot of personal joy. And it just so happens that the topic that I usually write about happens to be about work. So I've had my own personal website, which I haven't been really writing on since I've been writing the book, but really kind of dating back to those early 2000 blogger days. And I intentionally started that as a way to learn how to write better because my writing was really poor at the time. And so through the, 15-year journey of writing, it's become something that's really fun and an outlet for me. And then the second reason I wrote a book is because a lot of the issue that I work on, toxic chemicals and consumer products, I saw how one of the most toxic things in our homes were digital platforms like social media. And I wanted to tap into the space and time which a book requires to get into the nuance and complexities around the science around environmental health. So I wanted to go analog in a digital world and teach people about a topic, but in a way that gave the topic credit versus these little 30-second reels or TikToks.
So tell us about that journey. Walk us through from the time you had this idea for the book, like what you were going to write about, and then all the way to publishing. And now with your book being in the hands of excited readers, people who have been following you, I assume, for years. Take us through it.
Sure. So the kind of aha moment for me, I've been thinking about writing a book for a long time. And I was like, I kind of want to write one book in my career. It was just like a random thing that I was kind of feeling. But it was, it was during COVID. I just had this really deep feeling. At the time, I was working for the clean beauty brand Beauty Counter. And I saw this, like, everyone was tagging me in social media content and saying, hey, Lindsay, you should really respond to this person is overstating the science, or this person is saying, what I call the dismissers, like this person's saying toxic chemical pollution isn't a thing. And I was overwhelmed by the amount of people that wanted me to respond on social media. And I realized it was this big aha moment of the tools in the toolbox from the early part of my career at grassroots organizing were not going to be the same tools that applied to this world where misinformation was so rampant and changed culture and the way we think about things quickly. So it was like it suddenly became very urgent that I wanted to write a book. So I interviewed and reached out to a ton of different agents. Almost all of them said no. They were like, what you want to do, because my whole pitch was I want to unpack the science, politics, and culture behind today's clean living marketplace. And they were like, that's too complicated. They were like, maybe, just write about the science or just write about the politics. But like no one had written all three of them together. And I said, no, the whole point is that no one's told the story of how they all impact each other. And we kind of need to tell that story. So I finally pitched who is my agent now. And she was like, I totally get what you're trying to do. I think this is timely. Let's do it. And put together a book proposal, shop the book around. And thankfully, I was in a place where I got to pick which publisher I wanted to partner with. And I chose Day Street HarperCollins because they really want to publish and work with authors that want to change culture for better. And I liked that they had a mission. It wasn't just about selling copy. It was about telling stories that need to be told. And yeah, fast forward many years of writing in the nooks and crannies, because again, not my full-time job. So it's definitely like, it was like a side project. And here we are, the book's in the world.
How does it feel to see people holding your book?
It feels really cool. And it's like one thing to see them hold it, but whether it's been on social media or friends have texted me like excerpts that they've circled and said like, oh my gosh, this cracked me up. Or,
yes,
oh my gosh, this story like had me on the edge of my seat. Hearing people's responses to reading it has been really satisfying because I spent a lot of time trying to tell the story as a story, not just blurting out facts to people. And I wanted it to feel like a page turner.
Yes.
And so when people have shared that it did feel like a page turner and that it was engrossing and I wanted to keep reading, it's really gratifying.
As an avid book reader, book lover, when you hear that people have read the book and they say that they can put it down and that it's a page turner, then I know that you've made an impact. Like I could tell. So congratulations, by the way, on this huge milestone.
Thank you.
So you're an author, you're an activist, you're also the chief impact officer at Ritual. You're a change maker. Like let's make that clear. What throughout the many years that you've been doing the work that you've been doing, what was something that you thought was true, but learned quickly or over time that it wasn't?
Good question. I mean, there's so many things I thought were true.
Yes.
And I think that's actually something that I talk about in my book is we've become very dogmatic in how we think about things. And we're like not as willing to change our perspectives. So I actually love that you asked that as a question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is that when I first started my career, I knew I wanted to do something in the environmental space and in sustainability. I was really passionate about climate change. I thought toxic chemicals in consumer products, number one, was boring. I thought it was like a consumer safety issue. I was wrong. And the second thing is I was like, I don't want to do anything with politics. Politics is super messy. It's gross. It's just like a bunch of fighting. It's all theater. And I really changed my perspective to appreciate how if you work the system and you work in a bipartisan manner, you can actually really significantly change the way companies work, make products, how much people are protected from different toxic chemical pollutants in the air and water. And the amount of scale you have for positive change is tremendous. And originally I thought there was no way, like if you would have told me in college, like you're going to be a lobbyist one day, or you're going to be a political activist. I would have been like, absolutely not. I hate politics.
Yes.
And I still do, like, the yucky parts of it I don't like, but like I have a totally different perspective of working the system for really big systemic change, which gets me excited.
Yeah. And I think there might be maybe for some a misconception of, what a change maker absolutely needs to be. Like, there's no room for evolution, as you kind of laid out. Like, there's no room for change within yourself and kind of how you see the world. There is, because, over time, we have to adapt as well.
Yeah. That's part of why I love this field, because I get bored easily. So
me too.
Yeah.
Same.
Like I need to be learning new things, and impact or sustainability or whatever you want to label it is so broad. Like, you can go into human rights, you can work for nonprofits, you can work in the business. Like, there are so many different ways you can flex. And it's been the most gratifying parts of my career is having the ability to wear a lot of these hats. Yes, it means you're chronically under-resourced and all that kind of stuff. But passion is something that is like very powerful when it comes to wanting to solve problems. And I'm still young, but I'm 20 years into my career, and I've had the ability to work in so many different areas. Even like, I love the first 10 years that I spent in the nonprofit community, because I learned how to lobby. I learned how to grassroots organize. I learned media and communications. Like, you're pitching press yourself. You're doing all of the things. And if you grow up in the corporate space, you kind of get pigeonholed. Like, you're a sustainability technical expert, or you're a marketing and comms person, or you're whatever. And like, I know how to do all of those things because of that nonprofit experience.
Like, your skill set, what they call a toolbox, right, is filled with these different experiences. But enough about work, Lindsay. We promised you a good time. And I wanted to kick us off with a lightning round of seemingly random questions. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. You're at a hotel on vacation. Would we find you at the gym, the restaurant, or by the pool?
By the pool.
By the pool.
Yes.
What might be the second spot out of these three?
None of the above. It would be if I'm not with my kids, it would be under the covers napping.
Okay. Yep. Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah. Checking out.
If you could be a member of any musical group, which one would you join?
I would play in Dolly Parton's band, because I feel like she's loved by everyone. We're huge Dolly fans in our home. And if you're playing in Dolly's band, you are like top tier musician. You're legit. So it would mean that I would have that. Like, maybe I'd play the banjo or something. I don't know.
Okay. I was going to ask potentially what instrument in Dolly's band?
Fiddle. Let's go with that.
Okay. Lindsay, what is your favorite smell?
Oh, my favorite smell. Probably chocolate chip cookies.
My gosh. You just saying that. I got a whiff, like an imaginary. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things I feel like, for example, when you're at the airport, right? Or like you smell something like coffee. It's just like you somehow get hypnotized and just like walk right into that store. If it is chocolate chip cookies, you just like willingly or unwillingly.
Yep. It's my favorite dessert.
Yep.
High quality chocolate chip cookie with a little sea salt on top. It's my favorite dessert.
So earlier you talked about being a lobbyist, and we know that about your career, but I'm assuming that that means, when you go to DC, you kind of need to dress to impress. Like, did you need to wear suits every day, or did that change over time?
Yeah. It's a very kind of formal culture. I, both when I was lobbying in the state of Minnesota and even when I do stuff in Sacramento, but certainly DC, I had to wear suits. You can also wear like fancy dresses, but I got a whole arsenal of like, DC just has such a like conservative attire, like what I now would describe as like old lady dresses with like the pearl on the side and like thick wool and whatever. Like I played the game. I wore the outfits and said all the phrases.
Yeah. I was a corporate lawyer for 4 years before I switched careers, I think probably over 10 years ago now. And I can relate so much with having to abide by dress code every day to work, and either wearing a suit or like some type of very like formal-ish outfit. Even if, so by the way, like this, when I used to practice in the Philippines, like it's scorching hot. Usually it's either very rainy or it could get very hot. So it's not the most comfortable. So what you're such a, I know that you're busy. Like you talked about your kids briefly. You talked about sort of this journey that you've been on. When was the last time you unplugged for a very long time? And what did you do?
I think the last time I truly unplugged was before I had kids, so 7 years ago. Kids just have totally changed. Like, there's not downtime like there used to be.
Yes.
So I think it was over 7 years ago that I truly unplugged. It's not easy for me at first, but then once I flip the switch, it is. So I think, again, thinking of pre-kid Lindsay, I would sometimes take like 4 days on a vacation before I could like really start to relax, and then I could just hang. But I think I've gotten more relaxed and less uptight as I've gotten older.
Wait, you said 7 years ago. What did you take a vacation? What did you do?
Yeah, I went. What came to mind was my parents have a cabin, a lake house in northern Wisconsin that's like pretty remote. And I went there and just like went offline. Internet's not great. You don't really get cell service. And I just read books and went swimming and drove a boat around. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, to me, downtime is like downtime, not even going anywhere.
Yeah.
Is a grand vacation. So this could be a challenging question, Lindsay, because I know you're also very active on social media and reading the book, I can only assume that people would get to know more about you and your life. But what's something most people would be surprised to learn about you?
I think people are surprised to learn that I'm introverted and that I don't like making videos for social media or public presenting. Like, that's something that I have honed as a professional skill. That's been a necessity, but it's draining to me and I don't like it. So people are always surprised. They're like, you're very extroverted, you're outgoing. And I'm like, I'm actually not. I'm the kind of person that like showing up to a networking event is like the last thing I want to do. Small talk, like anything, even with people I know, like I still get nervous, but like people don't realize it just because I've gotten really good at hiding it over the years. So I think that's the biggest thing that people wouldn't know about me.
I can so relate to that. Networking events really make me anxious, to be honest with you. Unless I know someone there and I have a specific person that I wanted to talk to or that I'm supposed to meet with, to me, I'm not as comfortable as a lot of people are.
Yeah.
If you could ask another social impact leader an impact after hours type of question, so not work related, what would that question be? And if you have a dream guest or a person that you want to interview yourself, we'd love to know.
So I would like to interview, I think Aya Elizabeth Johnson, who wrote What If We Get It Right, is someone that I'm super interested in chatting with and would love to interview her. Let's see, question. I think the question I would have, it feels a little work related, but it is actually related to the after hours, which is the like, how do you like process the natural weight of the work that we do. So in order to be an expert in this field, you have to know the latest science about climate change. You have to understand the problems with packaging, recycling. Like there's just a lot of stuff you have to know. And so I would like to ask someone, how is it that they kind of unpack or push that away in their after hours as a way to have the resilience to work on it during the day?
Yeah, it is a trick. Do you have a trick yourself?
I think there's three things. The first thing I do is I love to read.
Okay.
So I love just like the escapism of reading. I'll say two things: reading, and then the second would be I have a pretty healthy wall during the day. So like I actually have built these kind of like emotional walls that have allowed me to like intellectually know things, but not like feel them deeply. So that process is actually easier because I do know, and especially as I mentor kind of younger people that are coming up in this field, I saw myself, and then I've also through mentorship seen how having healthy walls is actually a requirement of this type of work, and it helps you build a lot of resilience. And I think it's very hard for people that are also drawn to this type of work. So I think I'm kind of like intentionally intellectual about as I take in information during the day.
Emotional walls.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's my first time hearing that, and I will take that with me because I need it. So I know you said you mentor young people who are coming up in the field, but I just learned something new.
I mean, I bet therapists would totally disagree with me, but I also think there's a time, it's like a form of boundary setting of like, I'm going to intellectually know this, but I'm not going to let myself feel it deeply, because otherwise that takes over. And then you have to spend all this time separating yourself from it at night. And the like grind of corporate culture doesn't allow for that.
Exactly. I will be thinking about this. But okay, we have come to the end, Lindsay, of this conversation. I am very curious to know, so you talked about reading. What is your go-to after hours media? So what have you been reading, listening to, or watching lately?
I listen to a lot of music, so it's another way for me to kind of unwind. I've been reading, this is kind of an unusual genre for me, but it is very popular right now. I've been reading what I call like fantasy light. So I'm reading the Sarah J. Maas.
Very popular.
The Glass Throne series about like, again, I like the female protagonist. There's a lot of female protagonists in my book as well. So I'm kind of drawn to those storylines. But it's not so deep fantasy that you need like a legend to keep track of the names. I don't want to think that hard. So I want something that just feels like a page turner. So I'm reading that series right now, which is kind of unexpected and also a fun change of pace from my typical like nonfiction type reading. So,
Lindsay, thank you for joining us. Before we part ways, what is, something that you want to share with our listeners? Anything big that's coming up for you? Well, you just released your book, so, would love for people to check it out. But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the kind of open space. I think, I would love for people to purchase my book and let me know what you think. Like I'm easily reachable on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Substack. I want to hear people's feedback. It's designed to be a story that is fast to read, even though the topic feels like it could be heavy. And I think my kind of like parting thing is just to play the long game. Like a lot of people, especially in my field, feel headwinds or like there's a lull in sustainability and impact. And I was kind of recently telling my niece, who's just graduated from college and she's getting into this field. She's like, oh, this is such a hard time to get into the sustainability work. And I said, look, you have to, if you're signing up for this type of work, you have to be in it for the good times and for the defense, the bad times. And so playing the long game is my kind of parting words of wisdom.
That's amazing. And do you have plans of writing a second book?
I would love to. I don't know what it would be about yet, but I would love to. I thought the process of writing was really fun.
Well, Lindsay, thank you for joining us, for contributing your knowledge, and for letting us get to know you a little bit more on Impact After Hours. We'll see each other soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.